we have to wait for them to read. So
Okay.
when I get that notification, this chicken.
Okay, and then can you just, you send another one?
Was she sending her husband?
I guess
Unless it's like.
Oh, children. That sounds like for me and my husband.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, I did. It's all true, but sometimes I do best guesses on dates and stuff. I was wondering about that, but I didn't want to ask, because if you said I couldn't. And I wasn't voting yet. So,
Yes,
no, I mean, that if I had to live.
I didn't even know you'd be here. Going to turn this on. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is May 11th. It's 5 o'clock. We're doing City of Steamboat Springs Historic Preservation Commission. We will start with roll call, and then I will, for our vast audience, read the benefits and role of the HPC. And then we can take public comment for anything not on tonight's agenda, and then we'll start with our first public hearing items. So Molly, would you please introduce yourself for the roll call?
Commissioner Mitchell,
Commissioner Capra here. Katie Adams.
Julie Alcama, Commissioner.
Jane Blanford.
Always Caitlin.
Yes, yes, it is. Commissioner Molly is here. I thought it was on.
Molly, would you say your name again for the record?
Commissioner Molly Rusher is here.
Thank you. Caitlin Barabee Smith, staff.
Thank you. What did I say I was going to do? Really quickly, I'd like to refamiliarize everyone with the role of the Historic Preservation Commission. Through this program, through the City of Steamboat Springs, we seek to preserve the city's natural and built historic resources to help maintain distinct community character and contribute to the cultural awareness, sustainability, and economic growth of the community. The Historic Preservation Commission, or HPC, is comprised of volunteer council-appointed members who work to safeguard the area's historical heritage by identifying, protecting, and promoting its resources. The HPC manages designations, reviews proposed alterations to the exterior of eligible buildings, and works to educate the public about the importance of preservation. Today, we have one historic register designation. So I would like to quickly read the benefits of listing to the historic register. There's a few. It provides a means of documentation about the resource for the history of the community. It formally recognizes the property's importance to the town and its role in shaping our community. It creates a strong sense of community, neighborhood, and ownership pride. It provides protection from all major modifications or alterations or demolitions from future development, yet allows for alterations that are in keeping with local standards. For residential properties and commercial, it increases home value and marketability. It also activates available state and federal grants and tax credits, including up to 20% federal tax credits for income producing commercial properties and up to 35% tax credits for residential. Locally listed properties receive sales tax rebates on locally purchased materials and development application fee waivers for rehab work, period. Okay, thank you. If there is anyone here or online who would like to make a public comment on something not on tonight's agenda, please come forward or raise your little icon hand. Okay, cool. And seeing none, we'll move to our we'll move to our first project, which is PL 2026-0110, Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series in the Brent Romick Arena Historic Register designation. First, we'll have staff / the owner intro the project, and then the applicant has a chance to do introductions and a presentation. Then we'll take commissioner questions, public comment, applicant response, commissioner deliberation, motion, and a vote. Caitlin.
Thank you. So I'll provide an introduction to the project, and then we'll have the applicant come forward and speak towards the project, and then I may follow up after that, just given the fact that the city and the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series is a joint applicant for this historic designation. So the subject property is located at 401 Howelson Parkway. While it was not the original location of our very first rodeo or bronco riding event here in Steamboat Springs, the location that is up for designation has hosted our local rodeo, not just for Steamboat Springs, Routt County, but also for state and national rodeo competitors dating back to the late 1800s. In researching rodeos, it was interesting because there is actually a set of qualifications and criteria that you have to meet to actually be a quote unquote rodeo. So you have to have an admission fee, you have to have registrations, and you also have to provide and give awards. That's kind of my short take on that, but I found that interesting. And dating back to the late 1800s from some of the Colorado historical newspapers, we have met those criteria for well over 100 years. So I think that's pretty important. The proposed designation would historically list the rodeo and the event as a local landmark, meaning it meets our highest level of designation criteria for approval. It is an eligible resource for 2 of 3 initial criteria. The first, and I think the simplest, is geographic importance. We only have one other property, or I guess sign, listed on our local register that meets geographic importance, and that is the Steamboat Springs Rabbit Ears Motel sign. So geographic importance speaks to the fact that the rodeo grounds represent an established and familiar location for the community and city. So everybody in town knows where the rodeo grounds are. It's a true landmark. It's used for wayfinding. Meet me at the rodeo grounds. Due west from the rodeo grounds. And then, of course, its historical importance. I'll probably let the rodeo board and co-applicant speak towards the nitty-gritty of the history of the rodeo. But I'd like to focus on some broader applications of what it means to utilize a special place that has hosted events and tying that to historic significance. The National Park Service has a bulletin which covers what is termed a traditional cultural place. Typically, traditional cultural places are landscapes. There are 4 different types of landscapes outlined in the National Park Service, and this would meet criteria for both a historic landscape and a vernacular landscape. It's important to note that vernacular landscapes change over time to meet the needs of the community, which is also what allows this to be categorized locally as a traditional cultural place. So traditional cultural places and historic and vernacular landscapes are rooted in the same belief systems, values, and operation in a former past historic community as they are in the current community that continues the current historic use or historic event that is important and significant. There will be a designation boundary presented as this, and that is on page 54 of your packet. We would be applying the same designation boundary to that which was initially inventoried in 2019 as part of the CDOT Section 106 Historic Cultural Landscape Survey. It is the feature map, and it draws a pretty decent boundary around what all of the important features are. It's towards the end of the historic cultural landscape. I'm happy to pull that up as the co-applicants are speaking towards this. And the proposed name in your packet, I would like to revise slightly after a discussion with our HPC chair, Katie Adams, who felt strongly that the name should also include kind of the colloquial term Howelson Hill Rodeo Grounds. So the proposed name would be Howelson Hill Rodeo Grounds, comma, Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series, and Brent A. Romick Arena. You'll see, as included as an attachment to the staff report, that in 1990, City Council officially requested the name of the rodeo grounds and the arena to be changed to the Brent A. Romick Arena. So staff feels strongly that that should be included, given that was in a City Council proclamation. The proclamation itself is included as an attachment, and I think it provides a very witty and accurate representation of all that Brent Romick has contributed to the rodeo grounds, notwithstanding contributions from the rest of the board of directors. In addition to the proposed name, the historic designation application does include the most recently approved rodeo master plan. That is a master plan that the city has approved and their board has approved, and it references future capital improvements, mostly to enhance and continue the operation of the rodeo itself. And so being able to continue to change the function and the layout and the circulation patterns of the rodeo grounds to serve the needs of the rodeo is important for this designation. I don't want to talk too much about the history because I kind of want to leave that for our co-applicants here. So Katie, would you like to ask the co-applicants to come up
Yeah, are you
and
done?
speak? I believe so.
Sounds like you are.
I think there's enough information in the packet, and if commissioners have any specific questions for staff or the applicant, we're happy to answer those.
Yes, co-applicants, would you please come forward? You'd need to, in this case, state your name and your relationship to the board. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brent Romick, and I'm very proud and grateful to be here tonight. I'd like to start by doing a short introduction of the three other persons that I brought with us tonight to give you a cross-section of this rodeo, because not one single individual is responsible for this rodeo. It's this whole community. And then people, like the people I'm going to introduce, are instrumental in helping me fulfill our dreams, and have been, in John Chipley's case, with me almost 40 years. But tonight, in addition, John Chipley is the president of the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series. I'm the chairman of the board of the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series and the president of the newly formed Western Heritage Foundation. My wife, who is my right-hand person, and the one that catches all the BBs, as I say, and stacks them. I throw the BBs in there and she stacks them. And then I brought along with this to represent the youthful part of the rodeo and its contribution culturally, Cameron Dines, who grew up in Steamboat Springs in the Elk River Valley. She's 22 years old. She started working at the rodeo when she's 13 years old. She is one of many young ladies, including young men and ladies, including Rebecca Bessie's son, that did a lot of work over at the arena. So I'm proud to have the three of those here. We'll talk about history. I think most of you know is the history of the rodeo arena is quite interesting. We got through off of Main Street, as history seems to tell us, in 1908, were too raunchy of behavior and we were bucking horses in the middle of the street. So they moved us over to the salt flat that is now Halcyon Hill at that point in time. But even before that, Woodchuck, which hosted the first skiing activities we had prior to Halcyon Hill, we had some rodeo activities up there, and a lot of informal rodeos were created. But when we found the location across the river on Fifth Street, that's the greatest attribute we have. Maybe one of the crown jewels, in my opinion, the crown jewel of Steamboat Springs ownership happens to be Halcyon Hill. And we at the rodeo not only like memorializing the rodeo, but we're also actively involved. I grew up skiing on Halcyon Hill. John Shipley's son wound up growing up on Halcyon Hill. Cameron Dines and others have enjoyed Halcyon Hill. We support the ice skating rink, and that's why we did the newly formed Halcyon Hill Commission to make sure that the larger event owners get together and do not have conflict in our needs there. And we've been synonymous with our direction that we're going, and we're going to continue that effort there. But the historic designation means a tremendous amount to us. I've spent 48 years trying to get to this moment, so to speak. I appreciate just the opportunity for you to consider this historic designation, because what it's going to mean to us is we have a permanent home. What it means to you and to the people that are supportful of the rodeo and donors, it helps with the city budget in the sense that when I can say to someone, please help us make an investment in this grandstand project or whatever it might be as part of our 2010 master plan, I can do so knowing that their dollars won't wear out any faster than the improvement there. So 100 years from now, it's going to be there, and that investment is going to be a long-term investment. So we think that is extremely important. The segue of the rodeo history and that type of thing made us create, which now has made even a better marriage. And I do have to compliment Caitlin, has been nothing short of wonderful to work with. She took the initiative to come over, meet with us. We had talked in the past about state historic designations in the buildings types and some of those challenges, if you will. It only took her and Bob Elliott to show up, and we pretty much took it hook, line, and sinker. I don't think there's a single thing that we don't like about it. The fact that it's permanent makes it easier for us to get more people involved, but it also emotionally means that you're emotionally invested in the project, because it's going to be my grandchildren and these folks' grandchildren. So that's important. But we created the Western Heritage Foundation to give a funding mechanism also. So when your grants that help us with use tax and grants for the purpose of construction, we can parallel them in a challenge, which is very important. We can make our dollars stretch. We did that originally, and recently, here 10 years ago, we did a Great Outdoors Colorado grant, which helped considerably. But now we need to beckon in on getting the private donors of Steamboat Springs to help. And the Western Heritage Foundation's doing that. We have a formal agreement with the city in that matter. But we cannot tell you how important this is for us overall. And we will make you very proud if you vote to do this, because this is just another stepping stone in the history there. We treat it as though we need to be humble and happy and cooperative. The city of Steamboat Springs has been our partner since day one, and we aim to continue it that way. But I want to sit here and belabor, because I can talk for a long time, but I'd like John, introduce John Shipley, and he can introduce Joan, and Joan can introduce Cameron, and they talk what they see about the historic perspective. I think that's important.
Thanks,
So I'm
Brent.
going to turn it over to John real quick.
Yeah, please be sure to talk into the mic so that it gets recorded. Hello.
Hello. So my name is John Shipley. I came to Steamboat Springs in 1982 after starting my ski career in Vail and Beaver Creek, 1976. You know, right out of college, 1976, 77, being a ski bum in Vail was kind of a big deal. And I thought it was this Tyrolean village that had existed forever. And after I lived there for a while, I realized that 15 years earlier, it had been a sheep pasture, and that was named after the civil engineer that designed the pass that leads into that valley. I had the opportunity to come here in 1982 and jumped at it. And probably more people knew my name in Steamboat Springs after 6 months than they did in Vail after 6 years. My wife was one of the first Steamboat ski hostesses. She helped start the Cowboy Downhill. Through her introductions, I got involved in, well, I'd climbed roller coasters as a college kid running a theme park. And I kind of got hooked on adrenaline and scary marketing. There's a lot of adrenaline in that, but not necessarily the right kind. So all of a sudden, I'm 2,800 or 28, 6 foot tall and living in Steamboat Springs. I announced to the world I'm going to become a bareback rider. Anybody that knew anything about it knew it was the dumbest idea I ever had. Long story short, got a chance to announce and realized very quickly I had a lot more aptitude describing it than I did doing it. As Brent said, we've been partners for more like 44 years, and this is an overnight success that a lot of us have worked on for a long, long time. The importance of the rodeo to me is there's a lot of ski areas in Colorado. Maybe they were a sheep pasture, maybe they were a mining town, maybe they were something else. But Steamboat Springs history is in cattle ranching and rodeo, and we've been bucking broncs down there. The bronco busting is what Paul identified in the late 1890s. We have had Cowboys Roundup Days since 1929. Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series got started in 1988. It's an important part of our culture. And as you look at the City of Steamboat Springs logo, I've pointed this out many times, it's the rodeo series that allows us to have a spur in our city logo without anybody having to worry about the red face test. So I just appreciate your support. I'll try and wrap it up there. And thank you for all that you do for the Western tradition and the rodeo tradition, and we look forward to this designation very much. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Joan Romick is going to speak next. She is between Joan and I. Brent's the big idea guy that's throwing the balls up in the air. Joan and I follow as close as we can behind and try and catch as many of them as we can.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we certainly try. Unless you're really involved with the rodeo, you have no idea the different aspects involved in getting it put together. But so far, like Brent said, after 40 some years, it's worked out pretty darn well. But anyway, what I want to talk about just very briefly, many of the concepts you all have already expressed. I think it's just of vital importance to keep the culture and keep the Western heritage. And I think it's vital to keep our identity based on, what we've come from in the past and not lose that identity. And I think it really provides a great connection between the generations. Over the years, we've watched, little kids, and Cam will speak on this one, not that you were a little kid, but, how they grow up in the rodeo. And, we have people that are some of our pioneers that have been at the rodeo for 60 years, and it's just continuing through the generations. And now we have a bunch of young people that work there and ride, and it's a wonderful connection for generations. And I think it does stimulate community pride. One of you mentioned it, maybe Caitlin mentioned that, but I think that community pride is extremely important. And it is a living memory that shapes our future and protects our unique tradition. I think that to keep this, preserve the heritage, I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of my notes so I don't forget to say this. It would be really sad to lose the memory of the rodeo and our Western culture. I think this is a great way to continue it on. And it really differentiates Steamboat from, I can't think of any other town in Colorado. There are a lot of Colorado towns that have rodeos, but I think we stand out. I think there's a big difference. And for us to be able to do this, and thank you all for thinking about it, really is a feather in our cap. It's very, very special. So I think to preserve this, it's like the last glimpse of what rural Steamboat was, and hopefully we keep that going. And again, just thank you, Caitlin, and thank you all for considering this. I know it makes everyone so proud to be able to have this happening. So, and let me introduce our young one, Cameron Dines, and here she goes.
I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity to present this. As it's stated before, my name is Cameron Dines. I was born and raised in Routt County and have lived here for the past 22 years. I started working for the rodeo series when I was 13 years old, and that was in 2017. And I started as a ticket girl. And over the past 13 years, I have been able to grow and become a, not to toot my own horn, like highly successful woman in our area. I am now the assistant rodeo administrator. But what I really want to talk about is the importance of the rodeo and our youth. Growing up, it was seen as a rite of passage for all of the horse girls to become a flag girl over the few summers that they were able to and home from college. It's definitely been a special honor to have that prestige of being a Coca-Cola cowgirl, working for the rodeo series, and having the ability to be a part of such an amazing corporation. It's one of those things where it's so special, and to keep the historic preservation of the rodeo and see it come to fruition in the next few centuries. Like, I hope to raise my kids here one day and hopefully have them continue in my footsteps along with working for the rodeo series. So yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's amazing to work with such wonderful people and to feel like you have a second family that is larger than just the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series. Any rodeo individual I meet that is associated with the PRCA or just rodeo in general feels like a family member because it is just that culture. And we want to continue to spread our culture through Routt County, Colorado, the United States. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Cam, for talking about the youth. But for us old timers, a little long in the tooth, it's also a good babysitter. It gives us something to do. But with that said, we're here to answer questions and move forward in what form and fashion you'd like to. And we just appreciate your consideration.
Great, thanks. Did you want to add anything, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'll just wrap up as staff and representing the city as co-applicant. I think it's wonderful to hear from our youth. And I think Cam said it best. The rodeo is truly an experience. It's also a recurring series, which sets our local rodeo apart from almost every other rodeo across this nation, given the fact we run from the middle of June all the way to the end of the summer season. The rodeo defines our local identity and, again, our association with our rural Western ranching heritage. It is honestly, in my professional staff opinion, our last singular tie to our rural ranching and agricultural background inside of City of Steamboat Springs limits. I think that's very important. Again, this is a co-application with the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series and the City of Steamboat Springs. They have been a tenant of ours for decades and decades. They became the Pro Rodeo Series in 1989. As part of the designation application, if the designation were ever to be proposed as changing in the future, it would require consent from both applicants. So not just the owner, the City of Steamboat Springs. Staff does provide the recommended motion that the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series be included in the name, along with the historic name, Howelson Hill Rodeo Grounds, and the official City Council proclaimed name, Brent A. Romick Arena. If the actual board and operation were to ever change names, which I don't think is in the future from chatting with Brent earlier today, then that would be presented by the city and our co-applicant, and it would be handled in the future. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Does the commission have any questions for staff or Brent? Oh, yes, Scott.
Yeah, I noticed in some of the background material, there's a House and Hill Rodeo Grounds feature map. And at our last meeting, we approved the removal of the northeast shed that's shown in here. And I think the center shed as well is, if I'm reading the map correctly, is also being replaced. So I wonder if those should be somehow designated, that they're not part of this new designation.
Yeah, so technically, as of right now, if they are, in place on the grounds and this is designated tonight, then those would be reviewed at time of building permit, and we would look at their contributing nature to the overall boundary. And given the fact that they are not,
Did we already do that?
what?
Isn't that what we did at the last meeting?
That was our concept review, I believe. So I think once they have an official building permit in, they'll have to come back and get official approval from us, which is another, I think, blessing of this designation is that, we're all partners in preserving the grounds and the history and making changes that are compatible. And so that would be reviewed. And I think there were some questions about the age of that log
Yeah.
structure, and we can see in there, I think it was built in the 90s. So yeah, thank you, Scott.
Commissioner Mitchell, that is the log building is what you were talking about.
Yes, sir.
And I said we would remove that,
Right.
which we are still planning on doing.
Yep.
We relocated the Connex boxes in a location that is much more hidden. And then with the other ones, we're looking at trying to make them more aesthetically pleasing, even though there's good functional abilities with those type of structures there. We want to put a little lipstick and mascara on them to make them look a little better. So they're not so plain.
My question wasn't resistance at all. It was purely that I thought we had already said those were not going to be part of your future moving forward.
Yeah.
And I just found it interesting that they're in this as if they are part of the designation. So,
And getting rid of that log building, I'm going to do next week.
okay, awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, Molly.
So tying this designation to essentially a business, right? Steamboat Pro Rodeo Series is a business. What significance does that have should, heaven forbid, something devastating happen to the business? What happens to the
Yes.
designation at that point?
So I would look at it more as it's the name of the event.
Okay.
And so we're designating the event, and we would hope that the event would continue. If something occurred with the business, we would hope that there would still be a rodeo. And again, if, let's say, the Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series doesn't exist as of tomorrow because they get washed down the Yampa, then we would look at updating the name with the new name of the rodeo.
And I do think it's germane also, Commissioner, that you understand that we are a nonprofit, but because we do a professional sport, we get the privilege, like many other tax-paying Americans, to pay taxes on that. We, at the current time, with staff in full regatta during the summer, have probably 60 people counting food and beverage folks there. Right now, we have one full-time employee for the rodeo to do 11 weeks of pro rodeo. So when you look at us, you're looking at a volunteer staff. All our money gets plowed back into the facility and the program. The Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series is registered and trademarked as well. So that pretty much validifies where we think the future should be and where the present is today. And we don't plan on going anywhere else. We're trying to get DNA to make sure that when John and I are gone, that this will continue on for another 100 years, hopefully.
That's our hope too.
Yeah, I had similar questions, Molly, because we've already seen the name of our rodeo change, right? It used to be Jackpot. You might change to Super Series. You might become American Rodeo. So I didn't want to pigeonhole a designation. into changing trends in rodeo. I'm not against preserving the idea of the event or the series. It's just, hey, we've already seen changes to the organization or a name or what events we hold, right? There's no more horse races. So I had similar questions of how that would happen. It sounds like, I guess we just come back and change it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to looking at like, what are we historically designating now in the present? And then if the event name were to change in the future, then that would come before the commission.
Other comments, questions, concerns? I just wanted to make sure we call out some of the historic bits of the grounds, just so that we kind of give it lip service. Especially our friends at the American Legion are very proud that they were the first ones to sort of put shovels in the dirt out there in 1927. And then I believe, is that right, Brent, that they then handed it over after that. So they have an enduring part of this legacy, as well as I think it's the only one, cobblestone ticket booth is very historic, built in the 30s, and pays homage to when the area was owned by H.W. Gossard. He's responsible for those. So I know I, in particular, keep a special eye on any changes to that stone pillar. And further, a lot of people in the community are very, maybe love-hate relationship with the concrete grandstands were built by the WPA, also in the 30s, which are probably, again, just a couple of the most historic features out there. So things that we like to keep an eye on and appreciate that they're being retained today. Okay, thank you. Right. So then now we do public comment. So, yeah.
Can I add one thing? The horse barns are still out there. They were moved in the 50s. And so I think it's just nice to note that there are still a few extant historic features. And as the rodeo continues onward and, as the grounds and circulation change, we'll continue to work with HPC and the master plan to make it the best space it can be.
Great. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to give public comment on the rodeo grounds or online? If so, please come forward. You get 3 minutes. Okay. Feel like that was sufficient amount of time. Great. In that case, we would do commissioner deliberation and/or make a motion. If we have none more to say, want to say something flowery, Marianne? Please.
This is a no-brainer.
Okay.
I mean, it's as Mr. Romick started with, ranching was a critical sort of groundbreaking story for this area, and rodeo is a natural extension of that. And so many of us know it ties as well because of the people of the past and today into our ski history and traditions. And it's truly in its location and its story and its activities, heritage in the best possible way, meaning history that's still alive today. And I'm so grateful for the people that presented today and help keep that going, because it's one thing to have the location and it's so special. It's in our downtown area, but it wouldn't happen without the people and the animals So I often have a lot to say, but today I have so little to say because I'm very excited.
Thank you.
And I really I appreciate you coming to speak with us. And our packets were so interesting. There were some really wonderful pictures of the cars surrounding to originally, and some of the saddle bronc horses looked like they were so high in the air. I'm like, oh my God, what's that? So anyway, it was, and I went to the rodeo when I first moved here in like 1981. And so it was before the pro rodeo, but I have a soft place in my heart for it.
Okay. And did you want to say something? No, geez, sorry. Yeah, I think in my little remarks, I agree that the application and the location meets the geographic importance. I think one of the biggest things that makes the rodeo grounds special and really unique we already talked about this and last month as well, is its downtown location and proximity to the river is very special. And it's important to me that it stays in that space, however rodeo events may be. And so I'm pleased with this listing and the partnership, and I'm pleased that the space is receiving the accolades and the safeguarding that it deserves. So with that said, and also thanks staff for adding Howison Hill. I think it's important, though that's not its most historic name. I think it's probably just Steamboat Springs Rodeo, but I think it's really important to tie the Howison Hill name into the location and keeping that area as one complex. So I appreciate adding that name. Would anyone like to make a deliberation that includes all three names? I mean, a motion that includes all three
To do
names.
it. Yeah, even though I know that I've been here more than 25 years, people just call it the rodeo. Right. So I'd like to make a motion that the Historic Preservation Commission approve PL 2026-0110, a historic register designation application. Is that how you want it worded, Caitlin?
Yes, as written.
Okay, for 401 Howison Parkway, and designates the Howison Hill Rodeo Grounds, Steamboat Springs Pro Rodeo Series, and Brent A. Romick as Arena, right? I see that.
Yeah, thanks.
Brent A. Romick Arena, thank you, as a local landmark.
Thank you. That's going to be one long plaque. Thanks, Scott. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye.
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 Aye. That's everybody. You're approved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. And we will be in touch about all the future to come.
Can't now.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank all of you and all your volunteers for the efforts that you've put in. It's incredible. Really.
Thank you. We're moving to a public hearing item, agenda number 2. Hold on. Project PL 2025-0400. This is an amendment to historic reservation all day today. Register designation of a cabin. Amendment.
There we go.
Previously known as the Parkinson Pro Casey's Pond Cabin. Same layout, if you will. Staff will introduce the project. I believe commission is familiar with the application and designation, so we probably don't have to go over the history again. The applicant will have a chance to make a comment. Commissioner can ask questions. We'll take public comment on the name change. Applicant can respond to the public comment, and then we'll make a motion. Thanks, Caitlin.
And again, the city of Steamboat Springs was the applicant for this project. So I'm just going to give a brief overview. Following the historic designation, this new staff report does correct some of the information, particularly where the cabin was originally located, which was between 5th and 6th Street off Pine. So I just wanted to make note of that. And then the community felt that the name was more closely tied to Parkinson Cabin, even though it did have ownership under Charles Probst. So the name just reflects it being Parkinson Cabin, and it also removes Casey's Pond Cabin because the cabin itself was not associated with the Casey family or the Casey family's pond. So I would say it's pretty simple. If you have any questions, I'm happy to respond. We may have some folks in the audience that would like to speak towards the item as well.
Okay. Questions about that? No, we all seem on board. Would the applicant like to make a statement about the name? Please introduce yourself. Tell us where you live, what you think.
Frazier, and I live at Casey's Pond Retirement Complex. And I'm here with Suzanne, who did most of the research about the history of the property. And we just really felt that the man who built the cabin should be the one for whom it was named after. And the rest of it, it may end up being the Parkinson cabin, and we may speak about it as the Parkinson cabin at Casey's Pond, or whatever other way we want to amend it. At the same time, I know this is premature, but this was printed up for just our residents at.
Thank you.
You gotta go back to the mic. If you go back to your,
On that piece
Go
of
back to
land
you're the
because nothing would
self-appointed.
grow.
Susan,
And,
you gotta go back to you're self-appointed. Can you back up?
Can you
and
repeat
comment?
what you said so we can make sure to capture it on record?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
you're-
not used to
No,
all
you're
these
fine.
modern
Thank you,
things.
Susan.
I know. It's getting recorded.
I
You're
can tell you that I'm sort of the self-appointed gardener, and I went out and tried to dig up some of the dirt around it, and a place that we plan to put a Crawford rose bush near the front door, or Missouri rose bush, whichever you'd like to call it. And that ground is so hard. I'm not sure what we're going to end up with, but now I know why all the former Storm Mountain ranchers, of which I believe there were 3, gave up ranching on that property, because it is just all rock. And we hope to have the dedication on the 22nd at 10:30. And we hope that you'll all be able to be there.
Thank you. And thank you for making arrangements for a plaque celebration.
I think most of the veterans who live at Casey's Pond will be brought down in the bus for the event, and we have poppies to give to all of them. And we just want to make it our special historic thing. Thank you.
That's great.
Suzanne, did you want to say anything?
Is it not on there? 10:30.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, just quickly, Suzanne Wickham, I also live at Casey's Pond, and I look out my window every day and I see that cabin. And so I feel quite strongly that Parkinson's cabin is plenty. Parkinson came really early in the 1880s. That cabin was built in 1890, so I think it represents our really earliest history, our pioneer. And then he went on to buy commercial buildings in town, a number of them on that are now the 628 Lincoln Street. And so I don't think we need any other names than Parkinson's. So that's all I would like to say, because he was a pioneer here, an early pioneer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from commissioners about the name? Yes.
I don't actually have a question about the name, but I wanted to just verify that we are actually on board and consistent with where the cabin was originally built, because on page 147, it still says that it was moved from Strawberry Park to downtown. And the newspaper clipping says it moved from 6th and Pine to Casey's Pond. So I just want to clarify what that section on page 147 is actually referring to, and if it's just a glitch.
I would,
Yes.
It's
the
the,
original location was between 5th and 6th along Pine Street. And I believe I corrected that information in the historical importance section. If it is still incorrect somewhere else in the report from the original report, then that can, on record, be noted as incorrect.
okay, on page 147, it's technically page 3 of 5 under historical importance. It's the second paragraph towards the end. It says the cabin was officially moved from Strawberry Park and relocated to its current location along Casey's Pond.
Okay, I'm viewing this in a PDF viewer, and so my page numbers are not adding up
147.
properly.
It's also numbered 2.3.
What is
It's
that
also
also?
numbered 2.3, if that's easier.
At the bottom of the page, but my PDF viewer says 147.
Yeah. The
I just
dude
remember-
moved, the cabin didn't, just one move for the cabin.
Yeah. It does make me curious, where did he live up in Strawberry Park? Because he
Yeah.
did summer up there.
Yeah.
Apparently not in he didn't like pick it up and take it with him every time.
Time to go into town.
Okay, so I apologize if that information, so this report is almost identical to the original designation report. So if that line was not omitted, I apologize for that. But the record should stand corrected that it was originally located between 5th and 6th along the south side of Pine Street and measures 12 feet by 20 feet. Okay.
So
I mean, so I'm just being qualitative.
Fountain
but, like,
Homestead.
It was like lower elementary school, first and second grade, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, the use of the cabin once Parkinson
Prior-
left.
After it was a private residence, it was used for first and second graders or
Yeah.
just lower primary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's the picture.
Yeah, same.
I mean, how many could you fit in there?
It was a classroom for first graders and it allowed for additional educational spaces, I believe, as they grew the amount of classrooms and grades that they offered.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was on and off for 10 years, because then there was another teacher and her friend or her daughter lived in it for a while, like in 1905. But the Fountain Homestead, the 160 acres at Strawberry Park, was a 1-mile strip bordered by the road to Dry Lake and Buffalo Pass and by Route 38A.
Oh.
Now, a lot of this information I got from the great-grandson, Crawford, James Logan Crawford, and he has a website that is wonderful. And let's see, there's Brick by Brick, which tells about all the buildings in town and all who came, all the early pioneers. And that's where I got a lot of, that information. So he was homesteading out there, and then he sold it to Remington, the famous Remington strawberries, that piece of land. Oh, thank you. again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Can I make it just a fun observation also? I think it's really interesting that this particular agenda item links back to the school that was at 7th and Pine, and one of our, I think it's actually the three cabins. Is that agenda item 3 or 4?
The Burgess Creek cabins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The floor of one of those cabins came from the same school.
Oh.
2 agenda items of the same property, basically linked. I think that's interesting.
Nearby.
Yes. Nearby, yeah. Both on that.
Sort of adjacent to each other, right?
Thanks.
I don't know.
Okay, is there anyone here who would like to make public comment about name change? Cool. Would anyone like to say anything more about this? Oh, then go ahead, please. Yeah, do it.
I think we're good. Okay. This, Commissioner Alkema, the Historic Preservation Commission amends the name of the historic resource located at 2780 South Lincoln Avenue from Parkinson Probst Casey's Pond Cabin to Parkinson Cabin.
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. That's all the ayes that can be ayed. Name change approved. We hope to see you for your dedication, and thank you again. Really, it was the residents of Casey's Pond who made this nomination possible. So thank you to you two in particular. Right. Yeah, go get the game.
Thank you.
Wavies.
What now? Want a break? Oh.
Okay, good. Okay, we're going to move now to agenda number 3. This is a demolition of an eligible resource, SPRDE 260516, located at 2642 and 2654 Burgess Creek Road. It looks like staff's going to handle this. I don't know if the applicant is available.
We do actually have the applicant online. I'll just give a quick introduction to the project, and then the applicant can speak towards his plans for the site, the proposed demolition. So again, this is the Burgess Creek Cabins. There are actually three, I guess we should call them structures. Three structures on the site. The site is pretty steeply sloped and graded, and the owner is wishing to demo the two lower structures. So their pre-assigned addresses are 2642 and 2654 Burgess Creek Road. We actually did complete an architectural inventory for this as part of the Mount Warner Base Area Historic Context and Survey. So I think we're pretty grateful that we have a lot of information on the construction and the history and the architectural style, as well as the original owners. These are truly what you would call rustic style architecture. They're broken up into cabin 1, cabin 2, and then a wash house. So cabin 1 is proposed for demolition. It is built in 1966. The wash house is proposed for demolition. It was built in 1967. Both are constructed of what you could say are found and transported materials, as Molly has noted, rough cut, unfinished lumber. And the property itself has no electricity and no plumbing, so they truly did port their own water and use this as a wash house for the wash house structure. Cabin 2 is the last built structure, built in 1971. It's on the west side of the property, and it sits higher than others, and is almost what the new owner would classify as an adult treehouse or sanctuary. Again, there's no running water in cabin 2. There is an interior stone fireplace, which is interesting, that would heat the property. The couple that owned the cabins, oh, and to be clear, cabin 2 built in 1971 is not being proposed for demolition. The owner would actually like to retain that and is looking to put that on our historic register. So that would be exciting to be able to save one of the three structures, even though the three structures were all built in concert with one another. The historical importance is tied to the original owners, Wayne Kakela. I hope I'm saying that, Kakela, and Robert Erickson. Again, they built these between 1967 and 1971. They actually have pretty long ties to the city of Steamboat Springs. They first lived on a farm in Strawberry Park and operated the barnyard where they grew crops and kind of had a historic original version of farm to table dinners. And they also operated almost like an Airbnb, and they had a partnership with the Steamboat Springs Resort Corporation at the time, where you could have a one-night stay, 2 meals, and 1-day lift ticket, all for the whopping price of $9.50. So you could stay in a hotel, have 2 meals, and get a lift ticket. Not really sure we could find one meal this day and age for $9.50. So they were really well known in the community. Additionally, let's see here. Linda spent more than 20 years working for the city of Steamboat Springs. So Linda was actually Wayne's wife. Robert Erickson was one of Wayne's friends who helped build the second cabin, I believe. And so Linda was the city of Steamboat Springs Director of Intergovernmental Services. So she was actually Winnie De La Quadrie's predecessor. So I think that's another pretty interesting local tie, and a tie to right here in the building that we sit in today. The plans for the property following the demolition of cabin 1 and the wash house are that they're going to build a duplex where the location of the cabins are. As stated, demolition is never an appropriate option or treatment for a historic property. As our code currently reads, the Historic Preservation Commission must approve the demolition permit, though the permit shall only be issued 30 days following approval. I like to restate that because it is a little confusing when the public reads that we are supporting demolitions. I will say, in working with this owner, he is a friend to preservation, and he is truly looking forward to placing the larger cabin, cabin number 2, built in 1971, on the local historic register. And he plans to hopefully build a bathroom to the rear or the side of it and actually use it for his family's retreat and getaway here in Steamboat Springs. So I do feel that that connection is nice, given the fact that the original owners purchased that property and constructed those structures as a getaway from their farm in Strawberry Creek, Strawberry Park. Thank you. And I believe the owner is on Zoom. Doreen, if you would like
yeah.
to
You
make
could unmute yourself if you'd like to. Yep, there you go.
Hi. Hi, my name is Doreen. Thank you guys for your time. I'm actually here in with my family, and we've been coming here since I started coming here to Steamboat since I was 17 years old in 99. That's the first time I discovered Steamboat with my university, and I fell in love with it. And ever since, we've been coming here every winter to to ski, and every summer also to enjoy Steamboat. We came, I'm a builder also, and most of my projects, and we're a very small family builder. We only do one project a year, and a small project like a duplex or similar to that. And then, yeah, we came across this property, and before even talking to Caitlin, when I walked the property, I saw the two structures. One was this very small square building, and there's the wash house, but up on the hill on the rock is the bigger cabin, which seemed to be the main structure on the land, and it's not in a way of the building. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to keep this and restore it and turn it into a cabin where my family sometimes can get away. So, and then I got talking to Kathleen, so everything kind of lined up. What I was planning to do, and I was excited I was allowed to, because I wasn't sure even if I was allowed to do so, because it probably doesn't meet any of the codes that are there today. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I'm excited to possibly, hopefully the duplex will bring a little bit of profit, which will give the ability to renovate the main structure. It does need a lot of work. It was very much neglected for a very long time. And the roof has to be replaced. The decks have to be, redone. And because they were, they're falling apart. But yeah, that's the plan within the next year or so to start renovating that main cabin on the property.
Thank you. Caitlin, have you talked to him about documenting the cabin 1 and the wash house? They're not very easily seen from the road, so this documentation would be pretty important.
Yes, I did speak with him about documenting it in terms of taking photographs from each elevation. We also discussed documenting the floor plans. However, they are one-room cabins.
For sure.
And as part of this record of demolition, they already have the footprint outlined and location on a survey with the square footage. And I believe Doreen is happy to take additional photographs. And I'd also like to go up there and take some myself to add to the demolition record.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we're hoping to clean up them a little bit right now, because they're full of trash and people left things behind. So once we pull up a dumpster and we just clean everything up and make it sanitary, because it's not right now. And yeah, I'll let Kathleen know when she I can take some pictures and she can come take some pictures. That would be great.
Yeah, thank you. As you can tell, they're kind of the last remaining gems of a bygone era up there. So
Definitely the mountain schools vibe of the past, right?
yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the mountain school, Wayne Kakala had a lot to do, and that's actually why he originally came out, I think, is to work at Steamboat Mountain School, Lowell Whiteman, and I think he did a lot of building construction out there as well. Anyway.
Yeah. And it kind of looks like it, actually.
It looks what?
You can kind of see like a echo from
style.
the former Lowell Whiteman High School to
Oh, really?
these cabins. I've never been to these before, so
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
He had a way of doing things.
Yeah, like hippie mountain architecture. Yeah.
It's the 60s.
Right.
It was the 60s, yeah.
Right.
Okay. And I think we should just reiterate that, well, I probably speak for all of us. That's why we're here. We don't, as a body, as Secretary of Interior Standards, as our local guidelines state, we do not support demolition of a historic structure. That's the direct opposite of preserving things. But the way our code is written, the demolition will go through after a 30-day stay or 30-day hold after today's public hearing. So, is there anyone, yes?
Was any discussion had about possibly moving the structures? I mean, connecting it back to the mountain school or even Perry Mansfield, maybe there's a location that they could go to that might make sense.
I'll let Caitlin respond and then the applicant can respond to potential movement of the two structures.
The applicant and I have spoke about the moving of the structures. At this time, he's pretty uncertain about the structural nature of them. But honestly, I think Doreen is pretty open to ideas, and Doreen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if they were able to be moved and if there was a receiving location somewhere else, would you be amenable to those being moved to a different location?
Yeah, I'm what I've noticed is that they incorporated the cabins into the landscape, so there's some rocks in there. So I'm not sure if lifting up as a whole structurally that would hold. And but I am very open if somebody wants to dismantle it, and absolutely, I'm very much open to it if they want to reuse the wood from the cabin right next to the wash house. I'm very open to it if somebody's willing to do that.
Okay. So hopefully staff can continue those conversations. That's actually what the 30-day is for, is to try and help otherwise convince or save any parts, salvage anything.
So if commissioners are aware of any locations that would be willing to receive them, please let me know.
Back at the Kakala place.
I doubt this because their standard is different, but I sort of wondered about Strawberry Park Hot Springs, but I don't have any special connection there. Perry Mansfield is already overwhelmed by their 65 plus buildings. Like, I think that's unlikely. I know there was sort of that house graveyard in the county. Sorry that I called it that. The house museum display on somebody's land. Yeah. I mean, you can see I'm not in the construction industry, although I have been a part of construction projects. And the fact that they're built around these boulders is cool and makes it really a strange move.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, I don't understand the layout of the site. Not that I have to, no one has to explain it to me, but I don't know how you get them out of there. But
Yeah, and to be honest, with the state of the cabins, the structures, they're pretty much falling apart. And I think that they would have to be fully dismantled, and I don't know if a new owner would want to reconfigure configured them with the state of their materials, but they might want to. So it could end up that they're almost reconstructed. So I think it's something for staff and the applicant to look towards in the future.
I mean, it's kind of, I'm not sure this ever happens, but because I don't look at the city site as often as I should, but is it something they would ever think about posting as like an advertisement? Is it Mike who still does communications?
I would have to speak offline with communications about that, but the city, unless it's city-owned property, we probably technically wouldn't be leading an RFP. I think we'd look to our partners for that unless there was an interested party who came to the city and requested us to facilitate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the current photography about cabin number 2, I will say, has me really excited about the potential of that being, go through some restoration and still be occupied at times by your family. I think that's an exciting possibility.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the camp, because my numbering is a little bit different. Hi, Levi. My numbering is a little bit different. The main cabin, it is on the rock in the corner on the top of the site. And that is the one we're trying to where we try to preserve. The other ones are smaller buildings or structures that are in a lower part and the only buildable part of the lot. And then it's the wash house and the smaller square structure. But the one that I think is very unique, it is the one that is on top of the rock that we're trying to preserve.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Caitlin, on page 183 of the PDF, it shows the 3 cabins on the lot, and they're numbered 1, 2, and 3. Are those numbered as they are in our packet, or is number 1 actually cabin 2?
Let me pull it up. I believe I put a note on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, so.
Yeah, so I did note, so cabin for future designation on page 184 is cabin 2 in the architectural inventory. The photos that are numbered are photos that the applicant sent me as part of the demo application, and he numbered them 1, 2, and 3. So I tried to match those up as best as I could.
I mean, it's
So on,
like from his description that cabin 2 is that one with part of its foundation.
so on page 185, it does say cabin 1 in the architectural inventory. Photos are from the owner and they have it marked as 2. This was before they had a copy of the form.
Got it. Okay.
So I tried to clarify that for the record because as I was compiling it, I was like, this is a little confusing. Yeah, thanks, Molly.
And I'm just looking at the lot, and there's a lot of space there, and I realize topography matters, but I just think it's pretty tragic. We can't use more of the lot or move those two. Moving the cabins obviously sounds like it's not doable no matter where you put it, but there's a lot of land there. It's sad we have to remove quite a treasure.
I understand, and I will say, again, demolition is never an option. Doreen is correct that where those 2 structures are is truly the only buildable portion of the lot. The open portion of the lot above those 2 structures is actually at a 45% slope. So I don't think much is going to be built on that. But I agree, Molly.
Yeah. Is there anyone here or online that would like to make public comment on the Burgess Creek property? Okay.
Do we want to read the public comment that came in as a rainbow? Do we read that out loud?
Yeah.
Read it.
It'll be made
And
part of the packet and part of the public record. It was added as a rainbow item.
It was from Candace Bannister, Charter Pioneers Museum. That's the one I read.
And
Is there something else?
Is there 2? Was there a second one that you sent out?
There is a second one from Arianthi Stetner. It came in at 5:08 PM tonight, and it will be added tomorrow as part of the public record.
Okay.
Is it important for the applicant to hear it?
Rebecca, is it standard procedure for me to read off the public comment that we received?
Good evening, Rebecca Bessie, Planning Director. I won't try to shout from the back of the room. I know the rules. No, it's not really standard procedure, but if HPC wants to, you're welcome to read those into the record. I think what's most important is that you've all received them. And I believe the one that came in after the start of your meeting from Ariante was primarily related to the first item on your agenda, but I think there were some other sentiment in there, and agreeing with Candace's earlier email. It's really your call. If you want to read them into the record, I think it's probably unnecessary, but we can make sure that they are also transmitted to the applicant.
Okay, we'll just do that then. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Any other comments on this? Okay. No.
Oh, from the public?
From us now. Public comment closed.
Okay, so discussion among.
So now we're in deliberation. Which I quickly covered that things need to be documented. Demolition is never the preference. And I've been here long enough to have heard before from applicants that removing part of a historic structure or accessory buildings is important in order to preserve another. And then in practice, that doesn't happen. We can only do the best that we can, but also we know that happens, and we would appreciate the applicant's genuine work to actually preserve the larger of the cabins. Yeah. Anything else? You don't have to.
Yeah. I think I'm just expressing, I'm not surprised. It's that these buildings don't look like they were built to last, and they're in such a funky location. And I think they are. I like how quirky they are to the story of this place. But I can understand the process that they're undergoing right now.
And where we live, and that it's surprising they're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was a really hard one for me because I lived out at the barn with the Kakelas and knew both Wayne and Linda. And we had a joke that it was Kakela construction because he did have a very unique way and reused a lot of things. And I appreciate that. I can see, and they sold this book right when I was moving into the barn. So I was never in the cabins, but I always knew about the cabins. And so it does make me really sad because I think they were a really integral part of this community, and Linda still is here. But the just that, buildings that were there before the ski area took off, that's what we're losing too with this. And so I'm very sad about it. But I understand that it looks challenging, and it's probably a piece of property that you need to do something with it, rather than have these buildings that aren't occupied. But
Thank you.
yeah.
If there are no further comments, we can make a motion on this, which I know how it reads. Sure.
I want to do it.
I don't want to,
Okay.
I can't.
Historic Preservation Commission. So this is the recommended motion. Historic Preservation Commission approves SPRD E 260516, a demolition of two eligible resources at 2642 and 2654 Burgess Creek Road. And the demolition permit shall only be issued 30 days following May 11th, 2026.
Thank you. A second. Oh, yes, Scott, thank you. Scott seconds the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 1, 2, 3. Molly, you too?
No, I can't. Sorry. Very, very reluctant.
Yeah.
Hoping that number
A legally required aye.
2 cabin be saved.
Julie, can you tell us why you voted no?
Because I think we're losing Steamboat one building at a time.
Mhm.
And once they're gone, they can't. So, I mean, I know it's what the city's telling us to do, but I can't in my conscience. We've got other demolitions, and I just feel like every time we meet, one more piece of our community is gone.
Mhm.
So I respectfully can't support it.
Right. And
I mean, if you want me to abstain, I will, but otherwise I'm a
No,
nay.
it's fine. I think it's important, and I think the larger problem remains that it's in the wording of our code that is making us vote in favor of something that this body is built to
Right.
fight.
So there's two reasons I can't, yeah.
So the motion passes nonetheless. Thank you for your votes. Thank you, Doreen. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
And you guys have my word. I know that you guys maybe had some bad experiences, somebody with not keeping the word. I right away as a builder, I saw the unique features of the main cabin, and my intention is 100% to preserve it. So, and this is 100% genuine, and I'll definitely do my part to preserve at least one building for Steamboat.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
reassuring. Thank you.
Very heartwarming.
I will say Doreen did call me a few times and reassured me before this meeting. He was like, I keep my word. I am promising. I know the application's not in yet. So I'm really looking forward to working with him on that and for him to come before the commission again.
Just a question on that. Not that it's part of, we've already voted and whatever, but I read that to do that, he'll be subdividing the parcel.
Subdivision is not required, but it does allow for that portion of the land to sit on its own.
Will we need to be helpful in any kind of variance for driveway access or anything that he might need should he subdivide?
Right now he's working with Walter McGill and he's scoped the project out to the T for the most part, and he doesn't think that they're going to need any variances. The lot is, I think, just over 30,000 square feet, so they'll be able to meet the 20,000 square foot requirement for the duplexes, and then the 10,000 square feet for the cabin. And I think where the cabin is currently placed, it will meet existing setbacks. He thinks he has to move a transformer too in order to put some parking in for the cabin, which I guess is his recurring nature with construction projects. There's always a transformer to move. So here he has I think a third one. It'll be his third time doing that.
No plumbing though to relocate.
Right, there you go.
Looking at the bright side.
Thank you, Molly. Okay, we're gonna move to our next agenda item, which is 4. Thanks. PRDE 260320, which is another demolition of an eligible resource located at 1129 Pine Street. I believe the applicant is here, and I'm going to turn it actually over to Commissioner Rusher because I'm going to recuse myself on this.
And then I did speak with Rebecca about recusals, and if you would like to recuse yourself, could you disclose why?
They're my besties. I have a personal relationship, and also my husband is working for them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so for an agenda item, with the applicant being present, or do you want to speak first? Staff or applicant?
I'll speak first on this one.
Okay.
I worked for the last year and a half with Jamie, so. So the property is located at 1129 Pine Street, and this is one of those unique, I guess, kind of eye-opening documentation records within the architectural inventory form. It was initially inventoried in December of 2002, and it was listed on the inventory form as being constructed in 1968. And that was what the assessor's record said in 2002, which means that at time of inventory, it was not yet 50 years of age. And so I'm assuming that that's why it was listed as not being eligible for local designation. However, the current assessor's record states that it was constructed in 1951. And then the brick by brick, Katie has reminded me that I should triple check that as a source for these reports. So I'll be sure to do that in the future. Jim Crawford has it listed as being constructed in 1948. So it's kind of a question as to when it was constructed. Typically, we would go off of what the architectural inventory form says, but then seeing that the assessor's record changed the date to 51 and Jim's research lists the construction at 1948. I think we could say it was constructed sometime between 48 and 51. And it is important for its architectural importance. So it is a resource clad in log with chinking, additional wood siding. There is a addition to the rear. There is also a below ground garage. So one of the garages where you pull up and under from the front of the property. And I believe that that is what is triggering this demolition. Jamie did reach out a while back to discuss options for it. And so I was able to pull some, previous public records for how much it costs for foundation repair and stabilization. There's some significant damage to the foundation. I'm not sure when that garage was added. It could have been added after the fact, and that could be contributing to the structural lack of integrity of the house. And so they were looking at potentially building an addition, but the cost to do that and to repair the structural condition, I don't think worked for their family or their budget. And I know that there are times when repairing a historic structure can actually be much more cost effective. There are, like any construction project, also times where it can be cost prohibitive. And then again, it is categorized as rustic style architecture, which is common from 1900 to 1930. I've been working with the state and our consultants that did the historic preservation plan and local design guidelines. They're not the biggest fan of us utilizing the term rustic style architecture if the structure was constructed outside of that buildable period. And so we're using the term neo-rustic. So just a little note on that. And the style was developed to blend the building or the structure with its natural setting, with an emphasis on the use of local materials with wood and sometimes stone elements. And that is it, if the applicant would like to speak.
Please state your name and address.
Hi, guys. I'm Jamie Kaiser. I live at 1129 Pine Street. Little background on me. I moved to the Valley 20 years ago. I wanted to be a wrangler, so I got a job at the Home Ranch. And when I was working up there, I fell in love with the Valley. Met my husband 16 years ago, and we have two beautiful girls, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. And we live at the 1129 Pine Street house, and we've learned a lot about it over the last 2.5 years since we've been there. Let's see. The history of the house. So when we moved in, we didn't know a whole lot about it. But as we started trying to figure out how to create a little bit more space for our family, it's 750 square feet, which is cozy with 4 of us and a dog. And we reached out to Caitlin to see what options we had with the historic side of it. And we worked with our architect to see how we could build off the back. And then just as we started learning the numbers of what it would be to bring the current house back up to code and make it safe for our family, the numbers just started adding up quite quickly. We have a very leaky foundation. So we have a constant little river through our basement. Our driveway also slopes down into the basement. So anytime it rains or the snow melts, we get a nice little flood as well. So there's some pretty extensive mold damage downstairs, which I'm sure is not great for us. The electricity, we only have, I'm going to say the ampage wrong, but I think it's 70 amps going into the house. So we're always scared we're going to blow a circuit and do that. So between the wiring and the plumbing and the sewer and there's no insulation in their D-logs. Between the D-logs in the home, there's no insulation, so it's pretty chilly in there. And the roof, there's just a lot. And as we started to get the numbers of how to pull that together, our plan of just putting addition on out back shifted a little bit, and we've kind of gone down this path of tearing the house down. So, and it's just, this is my first historical meeting I've sat in, and oh my goodness, watching the one before, it's like my heart goes out to you guys and what you guys do and your process. So thank you.
Thank you. HPC, do we have any questions for the staff or applicant?
Caitlin, Commissioner Capra, I took a look at your staff findings, and there isn't a lot being said in this particular packet. And maybe that's fine. And I don't really have a question other than, is there anything else you want us to know?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in order to be considered an eligible resource, it only has to meet one of 3 initial criteria. So this one meets architectural importance. And so I did my best to kind of provide a summary of the actual description of the architecture and then the architectural style. In short, and I think we've discussed this before, but we have to look at, when I'm looking at determinations of eligibility, we look at our existing building stock and we look at the size and the integrity and what it still contributes to the community. And so that does play a significant role in determining eligibility.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
I'm just curious if you do go forward the way you're hoping to. And there's a second garage down in the ground. So isn't it going to cost quite a bit of money to fill that and also create the caissons or whatever you're going to need for stabilization for a new structure?
Yeah, the estimate we got to repair the foundation was quite extensive because you have to pull the dirt away from all the sides in order to put the structure back in. And then even then, the engineer that came out to look at it, he said, I don't even know if there's footings on this structure. So if you wanted to go up a level, I'm not sure that the structure would be able to support it. And yes, it would be expensive, but we're working on plans now to have a new home there, and it would have a basement. So we wouldn't be filling that back in completely.
And I'm pretty sure I don't have a place to ask this question, but with the new structure that you're planning, is it going to be one that blends into the surrounding structures?
Yes, that is the goal. I've actually asked Katie on different siding options, what would be one that would be more respectful of the community and not stand out in a way. And she's given us some advice on what that can look like.
Chair, may I ask a question? Of course, thank you. We do have historic design guidelines, and we have a chapter on new construction, and it provides a really great kind of layout of just some broad, basic design principles. So I'm sure both Katie and myself would be happy to share that with you and with the architect, Brian. If they would like to apply those, you're more than welcome to use that as kind of a guideline.
I would love to see those.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Just one question is, would you be open to, so we already have a floor plan. It was submitted with the demolition permit. But would you be able and be willing to take exterior photographs from all 4 elevations, and just maybe email those to me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I think you can be seated if you'd like. Are there any questions from the public on, there's nobody in the room, but anybody online who would like to make any public comment? Okay, seeing none. I have to go back to my notes.
I could help you too.
No, it's over here.
They're over here. Okay, does HPC have any other final questions or discussion items amongst ourselves before we make a motion?
I'm not trying to sway anyone's decision. I just am ruining the fact that so much of the private homes built in certain decades of the history of our town had much different building standards than they do today. It's just, yeah.
Mhm.
There's just sort of a general lack of durability to a certain extent. So, okay. Would anyone like to read the motion?
Any other discussion questions?
Well, I just wanted to say that it's really hard to see another building. And I also had friends that lived in this house, so I have connections to a lot of things. But it was really helpful to hear that you tried and that it just was going to be cost prohibitive and maybe not even feasible, because I think we've been faced a number of times with people who just really don't want to. There would have been potential, but they don't. So I appreciate that. And we're also recognizing that you're trying to raise a family in Steamboat, and I'm sure it's way expensive either way. So, but thank you for giving us that extra information.
Yeah, and again, on this one, I wish there was a place that it could be moved to, minus the river runs through it basement. The log structure on top of that poorly.
But it's like non-insulated with electrical problems and.
Yeah, but if you just move the structure, then the electrical is going to come out of that anyway.
They create a whole village around Casey's Pond.
Yeah, let's just make a little, yeah.
Yeah, I will say if anybody knows of anyone with open land, that could be a receiving parcel. I think this structure, I think they would be open to moving it. We have chatted about that in the past as well, looking at what the cost of demolition and construction and debris waste removal would add up to. Sometimes it can be more inexpensive to contribute a portion of that cost to moving it. And thank you for the comment about the footings, because I believe that would actually make this structure an easier candidate for lifting and moving and placing on a slab foundation. So if anyone knows of anyone with land.
Just really, just for the record, I can repeat what you say. What are the dimensions of the exterior, or what is the square footage of the one floor? Did you say 700 square feet?
It's on the architectural inventory form. It says it's a rectangle, the dimensions of 31 feet by 27 feet.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be a lovely addition to somebody's land if they needed a smallish
A hunting cabin.
hunting cabin. I mean, there's so many uses for it that, I realize it's not suiting your needs, but it seems like a lovely building that could be moved. Okay, so sorry I got out of order there. We'll close public comment. Any other discussion items amongst ourselves? If not, does anybody have a motion?
I can read it. Historic Preservation Commission approves SPRDE 260320, a demolition of an eligible resource at 1129 Pine Street. And the demolition permit shall only be issued 30 days following May 11th, 2026.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's no nays, the motion passes.
New house.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Katie, you can come back.
I just had a thought that, the new administrator building that we did the concept review for the rodeo grounds.
Oh.
I wonder if this would suit their needs.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I mean, it's pretty much this, it's pretty much the same like chink log cabin style. So I'll give Brent a call and see if
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
that would be kind of neat.
Yeah.
May I ask a question, Jamie? Would you mind coming to the podium? Sorry, I should have asked this before. You made the motion. What is your construction timeline?
Great question. We have to do some more budgeting to figure out the process. Maybe this summer, but we might get so late into the summer, it might be next spring.
Okay, so there's time. All right, thank you.
I mean, July, August at the earliest.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Chairperson.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? It's 6:40.
Okay.
Can we do the last one or do you need a break?
Sure. I just wanted to say one more thing. I don't know if it's all as accurate, but the Brick by Brick has this listed, a bunch of the owners, which, did you look at that? The Marley House, because I didn't think we had much information on that in the thing, but maybe they weren't.
That was my promise to Katie to make sure to triple check the brick by brick records.
Okay.
Yeah. I did give a nice description of the 3 dates of construction that we have. So
This one says
to be super muddy.
1946.
yeah.
I don't
So we determined it's somewhere between 48 and 51.
Oh, and this one was just a ballpark, spitball. Yeah. Okay.
What does sure mean? Yes to a break? Sure, we can finish.
I think we can, what's the next one? Keep going? We're good.
Mhm.
If we go past 7, then we may.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you. Okay, in that case. Sorry, I was going to make a bad joke. Moving about demolition. Okay.
Oh my gosh, another one.
Into the next one, SPRDE 260547, another demolition of an eligible resource. This time we're over at 1024 on the boulevard. Similar structure, we'll have staff tell us about it and introduce an applicant, maybe. Yes.
Yes,
Go
I
on.
believe we have the owner, Chris Paoli, on Zoom. And
Yes.
very similar, okay, let me start over. Very different architectural style, but a very similar approach to the last demolition that we just reviewed. So I'll be pretty brief about this one. The property at 1024 The Boulevard was constructed in 1940, hopefully. And again, at the time that the architectural inventory was completed, which was in August of 2008, it was listed as not being eligible for local historic designation. And it states that that is because the house has been significantly diminished by a prominent garage addition, even though the garage is set off to the side of the home and recessed slightly. Enclosure of the front porch, of which the property on Pine Street that you all just reviewed also had an enclosed front porch. And we do allow for front porch enclosures. And then it said it had the application of metal siding. I can't visually see where the metal siding fully is. I'm guessing it is vinyl siding and then potentially, I think on a portion of it, there's metal siding that comes about a third up. So again, when looking at, as required by law, to maintain our CLG status, we have to resurvey and reevaluate properties when they come up, or ideally every 2 years if we had, 10 staff people. But when you look at this house, it maintains the majority of the 7 aspects of integrity, and the alterations that occurred in the past are alterations that we would commonly review and approve today, such as the addition of a side garage, a compatible porch enclosure, and with our lovely Steamboat Springs weather, our updated guidelines do allow for alternate exterior materials. And in short, this house still maintains, architectural characteristics and style and character defining features of that of your classic 1940s built structure. I think this is a pretty devastating demolition. For the record, the boulevard has changed significantly just since I have been present. And they're particularly the 900 block and 1000 block. And we are seeing the loss of structures at a pretty rapid rate in that area. And then it's also eligible for historic importance. It's associations with Walter H. Timer Hyde, who contributed significantly to the socioeconomic and community development of Steamboat Springs. Hyde was the co-owner of the Boys Supermarket. The other owner was his brother, Robert, and they marketed their store as the only locally owned and operated food market. It was originally located kind of in central downtown, and then I believe at one point, its last location was our current post office. And yes.
So it was, what's it called now? On the corner of 9th and Oak.
Plaza.
Oak
was
Street
there.
Plaza.
Oak Street Plaza,
I think that was the original spot.
the original spot. And then I had,
Or no, they moved there. They were over by FM Light.
Oh, okay.
they were in
the
the original
20s.
FM. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I had thought that the Boys Supermarket had their location, maybe their last location was at our current post office before it was the post office, or no, not at all?
That Oak Street Plaza.
Was the last location?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that might have been,
Village.
was the Safeway then?
No.
Where the,
Yeah.
No, 9th and Oak.
Ninth and
It was
Oak.
like an eye doctor
Yeah,
and
Oak
a
Street
grocery
Plaza.
store.
Yeah.
And they had like holding pins in the alley, all kinds. The museum did a Foundations of Steamboat exhibit on the Hyde family. And so I spent a year looking into it.
Okay.
Just I don't just walk around with that knowledge.
I will find the article where I'm making this association with the post office and the burning of the post office. Maybe it was that they contributed something towards the rebuilding of it, but I would like in the future, I'll touch
The
base with
post
you.
office is tricky too because it moved around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway. Oh, is that the end of the report? I'm sorry.
that is the end of the report.
Thank you. I was just waiting for you to do.
I'll say one more thing. I think this is another example of where it's key for our planning staff and team to work closely together. I believe the owner has been working with some of our planning staff for a while on a zone map amendment. And so this has been a great example for me to communicate that when we do think there's a demolition for a structure, that should be communicated throughout all of our staff up front so we can begin to have these discussions with owners.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have a question because you said the things that originally it wasn't appropriate for historic designation, but those things that were done to the house are actually okay. So is it not considered significant, or why is why are we just going with demolition?
So I redetermined it to be an eligible resource, given the fact that the past alterations are something that we would see as compliant with our local design guidelines. So because it is an eligible resource through staff's redetermination, that's why it's coming before the Preservation Commission.
And then remember, only designated eligible resources on the Steamboat Springs Register can we actually prohibit demolition. So this is not a listed resource, though it could be. And that's why we're not able to stop it. Was that your question?
Well, kind of, because I feel like we've talked about, this is really hard to get 3 demolitions in one meeting. And I mean, I guess I have more empathy for the last one where it's structurally unsound. It makes sense. So I don't know, maybe we'll hear that this one is structurally unsound and you can't do anything, but my sense is that they just want to build some giant thing instead of this little house, which is very frustrating because it changes our town is just changing so quickly. It's really sad and frustrating.
Yeah, and I want to just kind of respond to that.
Okay.
I want to be clear that, for the record, that even if a house has structural issues and issues with its foundation, that does not mean it's a reason for demolition. If we go back to 220 Hill Street, the project that was appealed by council, the cute little hip box roof on Hill Street, that structure had pretty major foundation issues. And they came in and they stabilized the foundation and they put in new footings and they put in new piers so it could actually support a second story. And I went back and looked at their permit to do that, and that cost them $60,000. So my guess is that is a whole lot more attainable from a cost perspective than a full demolition and a full rebuild. So just for the record, I understand, it's more sensitive and it's easier for us. It's more palatable, right? When you're approving a demolition, when you know that there are structural issues, but that shouldn't change our viewpoint on the reality of structural engineering and architecture and the future of a house.
Well, that wasn't really brought up. So was the applicant aware of, or did they research that, what that would cost?
Yeah, they did. That's what I was working with her on for probably, she actually sent me on my own mission to start documenting how much foundations and structural repairs to historic structures cost. And it can be a lot more for some and a lot less for others. So
Who's she?
Jamie, the owner.
wow.
Yeah. Her and I worked together to look at, could this be repaired? Could there be an addition? And, she asked, how much does it cost? So I went on the journey of researching a bunch of building permits of structures over 50 years of age that have actually improved their foundation, and then, pulling some costs for that. So that's where this cost estimate comes from. So, yep.
Good to know.
The $60,000 was from the estimated cost that was on their building permit from 220 Hill Street.
Before we move on, Jane, would you just disclose what you told me, and then we'll just raise it to commissioners if they have any problems about your realtor / everyone's realtor?
Yeah, the owner is my real estate agent. And actually, I'm feeling uncomfortable with this. So I would like to not vote.
Ricky?
Well, I can't vote anyway,
Why?
because I'm still, I've been voting all night. Doesn't count.
So I think, so again, for conflict of interest where you would typically recuse yourself, it's when you or a family member has a financial interest in the project, right? So I think that's why Katie recused herself, because her husband is the architect for the last project. Paid architect, I assume. So unless that, if you don't feel comfortable kind of being part of the remainder of the HPC discussion, you could recuse yourself. But if you don't have a direct financial interest, you or your family, in terms of you're not receiving money because this property is being demolished, then I think you would be fine.
Because if we recuse ourselves, if we know the applicant, we may never have a full body.
Yeah, that's what
Julie would never be here.
That's what I was struggling with. And that's why I reached out to Rebecca and I was like, I'm just a little concerned that this is going to set precedent because this is a small town and then we're never going to be able to make a quorum. So she was able to help, clarify that for me.
And I don't have any kind of a money interest in this. I just feel like I have a little more information. And so that's why I'm uncomfortable.
I guess that's up to you, and we can talk about what to do when more information comes to you next time.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that up to you, Jane.
Okay.
Because this vote will go through anyway. So that's fine. Okay, Chris, are you there? Could you unmute yourself? If you would like to tell us anything about your project, you may do so.
Yeah, hi. Sorry.
Hi, we can see you.
Out and about. Yeah, I mean, the house has been, actually, my family's owned the house for quite some time. My brother owned it, and then I ended up purchasing it from him. And he has the adjoining backyard, so we'll actually end up with a shared backyard. And then even prior to that, one of my employees rented it for quite some time. So I'm intimately familiar with the structural integrity of the property. And I would say, it's a pretty rough, cobbled together, scabbed on with random additions type of property. So it'd be a tough one to, even if you wanted to save some piece of it, it'd be pretty hard to do. So, I mean, hopefully it'll be maybe 50 years from now, they'll talk about the Paoli compound. So.
Okay, thanks. Commissioners have any questions for the applicant or staff?
I might have to add.
Yeah, seeing none. Caitlin, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, Chris, I believe we already have a floor plan for the home, but would you be willing to help us document it and take photographs of all four sides before you demolish it?
The house itself?
Yes,
Yeah, no problem. I could get some photos of it for you.
that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for overseeing that, Caitlin. Because that really will be our last remaining record of even what the streetscape looked like.
Right.
And we would like to encourage, the new build to be compassionate to the historic nature of this unique street as well. Though we have nothing in place to hold them to that, and it's happening everywhere in Old Town. It really does diminish our historic structures when large multi-story structures are built in these neighborhoods.
With that, Chris, we have historic design guidelines You don't have to use them, but we have a chapter on new construction. So I'd be happy to send that along over to Dylan and Griffin. If you would like to take a look at that, it just kind of provides some broad guidance in terms of how you can build, a house of your dreams while still being sensitive to the historic neighborhood.
I'd be happy to take a look. Maybe there's some material selections we could use that would be, more in line with what would be historically relevant. We haven't picked finishes yet, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question, I guess I've
Yeah.
realized.
Molly.
Is there a reason why we can't just use this structure and add on to it? You're not tied to the interior remaining the same. Walls can move, plumbing can move. The exterior is our main focus.
I mean,
Did
I
you have
think it would
any? Oh, yeah,
fall
go ahead,
down.
Chris.
Well, I was gonna say it's a central core stairwell, which with a bunch of small rooms, sort of attached around it. And I think anything we did would have to remove that stairwell, which would probably just make the house sort of a house of cards. But
Okay. Did you have any of those conversations, Caitlin, when you were reviewing this with the applicant about?
No, I got the demolition permit the day that I wrote my report.
Good question, Molly. A lot.
I wonder, is this a case where we might want to table this for more research?
Unfortunately, we can't table the item because our code requires you as HPC to review an incoming application within 30 days, which is why I was aware of the demolition like 2 days before I got the application. It was actually sent back by the building department to get floor plans. And so, yeah, we won't make the 30-day cutoff if we table it, if you table it. So it's unfortunate.
So we're just here really to pay homage, and we have very little role in this. It's what it feels like.
Yeah. Even though we just heard that often things can be fixed for way cheaper than tearing it down and building again. And that's kind of the dilemma we are faced with, that we're just losing more and more of our community.
Yeah, so if you own any other structures, Chris, that you are preparing to potentially demolish, feel free to reach out to staff well ahead of selecting an architect and a builder, and I can work with the architect and builder to design a compatible addition that retains the history of the home. It is also, we also have different major adjustment criteria for historic structures. So I think all of this information is also really good to pass on to potential home buyers that you may work with in your professional realm as well.
Ironically, I sent a homeowner today a sketch of how I thought his existing structure, which I'm sure most people look at as wanting to tear it down, as adding significant value to the property. Not only because of historic preservation, but because of the way it's situated in the setbacks and, allows for an interesting development. But I just sent him a sketch and I said, whoever's going to sell your house needs to emphasize the value added by maintaining the existing structure and your front exterior of that. So anyway, I mean, in certain situations, I think it does align with, improving an asset. In this situation, there's just no way I could ever, figure out how to put a garage in a house onto the existing, thing that's there. I mean, the garage doesn't even attach to the house. It's just it's a mess. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for keeping your eye out. You have been in the business a long time. And so it's a lot about location, but it's also doing right by the community and helping people find a home that suits their needs for the sizes that they want. And it's not always removing something in order to start again. So we appreciate your work on trying to put people in the right existing home, and not adding to our landfill, because this is a pretty significant addition to our landfill, and it's a pretty significant loss to our community. So we hear a lot like, oh, I just really love the feel of Old Town, and that's why I wanted to relocate to Steamboat Springs. And here we're looking at 4 demolitions in 1 month during Historic Preservation Month. And, you know, this is kind of a hard rate to sustain. We're not going to have that feeling that's drawing people here for much longer if we all don't step up and start kind of selling the benefits of living in community. So thank you for your work on that, Chris.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff before we move on to the wherever we're at in our the conversation? Okay. In that case, again, here we are, rock in a hard place. Our code is forcing our hand. So from today, after today, there's no hardship exemption. The demolition permit will be issued regardless of how we vote in 30 days. So let's have someone new. Oh, Molly, hey, what's up?
I don't want to do a motion just yet.
Oh, can I
just
make a
'cause
comment?
I was going to do a
Yeah,
comment
same as
also.
you. Go
Yeah.
first, yeah.
I had another meeting this week, and the question was, what makes Steamboat Springs unique? And the 2 comments that came up were, well, 2 of the comments that came up were obviously the town and then the mountain are very different places architecturally and the vibe, so to speak, which is unique to Steamboat. And part of the reason of that is that downtown didn't spring up as a result of a gold or silver rush, or in 1 minute, everybody flushed in and built all at the same time, all the same architecture style. There was a lot of money as a result. So they, to the point of these structures being maybe less than stellarly built, they weren't here from, because they just struck it rich. And in this particular case, especially, this home was built just after or during the Depression potentially, and just before the wars. And it speaks to how we were a modest town that survived. And there's other towns that didn't survive that and are now ghost towns. And you just said it, the eclectic nature of Old Town, while, it takes some getting used to, maybe, if you're used to a town that did spring up out of a gold or silver rush, because everything is a little bit different downtown. And that's what we all love about it. And it's really just, this is probably one of the worst meetings we've had. This is just
good to know.
gut-wrenching. Yeah, they aren't all this bad. Yeah.
No.
So I just want to put that out there. Again, you praised it nicely to Chris, that it would be great if people bought homes that fit their needs as they stand, with, maybe some minor modifications, but not with the intent to scrape them. That would be lovely. Because we're going to ruin this town, and there's going to be no charm left. So that's all.
This is Commissioner Capra. I'm not entirely sure how to phrase this, but because I know efforts are being made in terms of surveying, but it does, for me, make me think of the conversation we had, I think maybe it was February 2026 as a commission, for those of you who were there. And I just think perhaps it needs to be made a priority yet again, to resurvey the Old Town area. So all of that document, there's no confusion about like, oh, but it was surveyed in 2002 and it wasn't 50 years then, and that kind of thing. I'm not saying that would prevent what's happening with this project today, but I think that would be great, right? I think, and to try to resurvey the Old Town area, and then continue the work as a commission to identify and actually create historic districts and neighborhoods. Yeah. Okay. I'm just restating the obvious. I know that some of you are, we've talked about that.
That's okay.
yeah.
We all need our time.
But the Boulevard, like that, actually, that sort of Crawford Hill area. Yeah.
Both streets, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Should we make a motion so Chris can go on about his business?
Yeah. Did you want to make a final comment, Chris? I see you got your video back on.
No, I just been listening. I mean, I understand that. I mean, I've been here for 25 years. I've raised 3 kids here. My brother's lived here for 25 years and he's raised 3 kids here, or still is in the process of it. So, we're here for the long haul, and, it's not like we're just blew into town and decided to blow up a house. We live in Old Town. I've remodeled the house that we were in. It's got great structure, the one that we were in. And it was actually far better to remodel and add on to that one than it was to tear it down. The situation, is totally different. And I can't see any endearing value in trying to save, or any way to possibly save it. I mean, I've seen a lot of good houses downtown that the bones are decent, the structure's okay. This one, I mean, I think it was put together with duct tape and, I'm not even sure what's inside there. So,
You're going to find out. Yeah.
will
Thank
find
you for
out.
the reminder. You have been here a long time. Thank you, Chris. You've seen more houses than most of us ever will. Thank you, Chris. Scott, you want to take a jab at it?
Say what?
You want to take a
Sure.
stab at the
So
motion?
I make a motion that, see it, thank you.
Just read it.
Make a motion, the Historic Preservation Commission approves SPRDE 260547, a demolition of an eligible resource at 1024 The Boulevard, and the demolition permit shall only be issued 30 days following today.
Thank you. A second on the motion on the table?
I second. That's Commissioner Capra.
Thank you. Jane is going to not vote, but all those in favor of the motion on the table, please say aye. Aye. 1, 2, 3.
Reluctantly, very reluctantly.
All right, I'll be the nay on this one.
And one no. Okay, thank you. The motion passes. Chris, you'll get your permit whenever 30 days from now is.
30
Thank you.
days
Thank
from
you.
May 11th.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, we're almost there now.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Yeah, thank you, Molly, for saying this is not normal. This is very painful as a new member of this commission to see this all happen, but
Let me be clear. It's not normal to have 3 in one meeting.
it's still painful.
We're like,
As I understand it, the grim reality is that our role is, we're required to approve the demolition of these eligible resources. The code is the way the code's currently written. Is that correct, Caitlin?
That's correct. It is a recommendation to modify that code language. So that'll be one of the first low-hanging fruits we do. And
Beyond
updates.
that, I think,
Yeah.
a part of our role is certainly to encourage homeowners to preserve and to find other alternatives, move it or fix it or whatever. But the way the code's currently written, we can do all the encouragement we want. And a third part of our role, I think, is to very consistently apply the codes as they're currently written. So probably doesn't help anybody else, but it helps me a little bit, recognizing that we are serving an important role for the city. We're doing the best we can, but we really have no choice in the matter of these 3 properties today. So
That's right. The applicants are required to be here and so at this point, they have to listen to us. So they at least have to sit and hear our comments. That's where we're at. But I agree with what Caitlin said. We can change the code so that we don't feel like we are voting in support of a demolition. So we'll work on that.
well, we probably ought to read those public comments into the record, huh?
They'll go into the public
Oh, that's
record.
already done?
They will be,
As part of the.
Oh, they're in the minutes? Okay.
you'll see them. Okay,
They'll be added to part of the public
Okay, thanks.
packet. Yep. I think one's already added and then the one that came in after the meeting started will be added tomorrow as part of the public record.
Okay.
Okay.
It's out of order. Can I tag on? So it's like, we don't get a commissioner's report, you get a staff report, we don't get a commissioner report. So can I just chime on to what was just said? I know it's not Yes. Technically correct, but as far as low hanging fruit, changing the wording, great. I was also wondering why do we actually hear these? Why isn't this just a staff decision? If we literally can't do anything and they have to be approved, why do we have, and I'm not trying to get out of work. I just there are so many things this last meeting. Why can't staff just do some of these things instead of going to city council or planning? Why do we have to hear something that we have no options on?
It's the way that our program operates, and because it is an eligible resource, it should go through a public hearing if what is being done to the eligible resource is not compliant with the Secretary of the Interior standards. And so since demolition is not compliant with the Secretary of Interior standards, it's standard across all CLGs to have that type of project go to a public hearing. So for instance, we have had more demolitions in the last month, but I think 2 of them were not eligible resources. So I was able to approve those administratively via staff. Same when there's an alteration to a property that's an eligible resource that is compatible with the Secretary of Interior standards, I don't send them to HPC for a public hearing. And so we do try to limit public hearings, but when they're not following the Secretary of Interior standards or local guidelines, that's when they come to a public hearing, or if it's listed on our website or listed on our Steamboat Springs Historic Register. That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. And thank you for that.
Were we also going to try to change the timing of the demolition so it's not 30 days? Was that one of those other things?
We had discussed that.
Yes. So I have a few just quick updates, and I'm happy to wrap this discussion of code changes into my update if we want to move on through the agenda.
That seems fitting.
Okay, thank you. So what is this agenda item titled, Katie? Other business, staff report, staff update, reports.
Yeah, minutes.
Minutes to approve.
We just do.
That comes after.
So
It just wasn't.
implementation of goal 4 of the historic preservation plan, which is to provide code changes to improve and strengthen our program, was selected as a key strategic plan issue. I don't know if that's the right term. And so we've been working on that as a staff since, I would say, the beginning of March. Each department had to bring forth strategic plan, issues that will be adopted by council and worked on for the next 2 years, so the remainder of this year and then next year. So it will go in front of council. At first, kind of what I listed was more general in terms. I tried to summarize all of the HPC goals that we talked about. But Tom Leeson, our city manager's recommendation was to really narrow that down to items that we would, as a department, have to bring to city council for approval, which includes code changes and policy updates and amendments. And so we narrowed that down to be specific to changing our code. And so everything we've just discussed, and to your point, Julie, increasing the stay of demolition to up to 120 days will all be in there, as well as a lot of just nuanced things that are kind of very confusing about our code.
Like as one, hey, council, we're coming with these, I'm just making this up, 5 amendments, as opposed to this month we're doing 1, this month we're doing piecemeal.
We would prefer to not piecemeal it, but it may have to be done in phases, just depending on the time it takes. So some code changes are very simple and easy. Some are not when they're policy changes. And so Rebecca and I will kind of hunker down and figure out what our strategy for that is.
Oh.
It could be a phased strategy, but it might make more sense just to bring it all at once.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Other
Oh, thank
Pretty
you.
things.
Yes. I need to reschedule our next HPC meeting and I've looked for some available dates. And it looks like June 15th is open. That's the Monday following. Is everybody around on June 15th?
Yes. Affirmative.
No, we planned a trip based on the June 9th.
June 8th. Okay.
Yeah,
So no.
So no.
probably not.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Not sure.
One not sure, one yes.
I mean, I'm not.
I think.
Commission, I don't. I stepped out.
But what if? No, you're fine. You can skip.
I might be around June 15th. I wasn't going to be around the other date, the earlier, date,
Oh.
but I didn't bring my calendar, but maybe I'm around. If that gives you the quorum you need. Otherwise, I think I'm done. With all due respect. If you're low on quorum.
So maybe. Molly, did you say yes?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
What do you know, Scott? Yes?
Should be good.
Okay. Move ahead.
Okay.
I'll probably be here.
Thank you. I apologize. The other date that was open was June 4th, but I don't feel very confident about that date because that's like 3 weeks away. And so in case something comes up with like that requires public notice,
Mhm.
like I won't, that just doesn't feel very right. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
We might be able to change our plans.
Okay. And you can also, I don't know what type of trip it is, but you can also join by Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that you want to spend your fun evening, like
Rather,
doing HPC. Okay. I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
Okay.
We don't remember what quorum is.
quorum?
We'll figure that out should it come up.
Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing.
Yes.
Just for the record, can you all attend the Parkinson Cabin dedication and plaque presentation
On
May 22nd at 10:30 a.m.?
Party.
Yes, the party.
Yeah, I'm a maybe. It's graduation weekend. It's
I know. We have
Oh,
to be there.
yeah, well, fair.
Be that night.
It's not required, but it would be nice.
I will try.
Okay. I've also been going back and forth with the owners of our last designation to try to coordinate a plaque presentation.
Okay, I was going to ask how the other ones are going.
Yeah. They were out of town and she emailed me last week that they were back in town. So I haven't.
For which one?
The Blue House on Logan oh, you weren't there.
Mhm.
They basically, it was so cool, they were just like, we want to preserve it. And it honestly, like, it was on par with a lot of these. And they're like, no, like, we're going to keep it. Yeah. Just how it is.
But
Yeah, it was lovely. And then will you tell us about the bear dance?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We are, okay, so in connection to our civic plaza outside of this room, I sat on the Civic Plaza Art Committee and I've been assisting with the installation of the artwork. And we did recently have a piece installed titled The Northern Ute Bear Dance by Orland Joe Sr. And also as part of my role to consult with Native Americans and Indigenous peoples, we are hosting a bear dance. And there will be, so Orland Joe is going to come out and then also I'm going to
It's a dedication.
It's a dedication.
Sculpture that he made.
Yes, but it's more than that. It's there will be singers and there will be dancers and the chair of the bear dance. So I guess there's a chair of the bear dance between all 3 Ute tribes. He is actually coming out for this dedication. So it's very special for the Ute and I think it's a special piece of our history. So that is May 28th. That's a Thursday. The dedication and dancing and singing starts at 5 o'clock. And then afterwards, everyone is going to head to the Steamboat Springs depot, the art depot that Steamboat Creates operates out of. And there'll be a community potluck. And so I believe the city's going to be providing a main course, but attendees are asked to just bring a dish that you love or that speaks towards your own history and heritage that we can share with our Indigenous guests.
So starting at the library and then going over.
No, here.
No, here,
Oh, okay.
where the artwork is. Yeah,
28th at 5.
at 5. Yep,
Thank you, Caitlin.
of course. And I'm sure, you know, if you're coming to both the ceremony and potluck, I should actually run this by with Kim. I'll chat with her if you do want to make something for the potluck that you can drop it off at the depot before you come. So you're not like standing there with a casserole or something or like a, you know, a bowl of salad. So I can email out some details for that.
Okay, thank you. Then I guess that brings us, we need to review and approve the meeting minutes for the April 13th. Not you, Molly.
Well, my name is misspelled. That was my only comment.
Oh, man, I was just talking about how
And Scott's name.
your name is hard for some of us.
It is. Yes, I get
It
it.
says me with the IE.
So for the record, Molly Rusher's name is spelled Mollie. And for the record, Scott Mitchell's name, Scott is spelled with 1 T, SCOT.
Thank you. Does anyone have any changes, questions about April 13th meeting minutes? I did not either. No.
No, I didn't either.
Looking good. Would someone like to make a motion to approve those puppies?
This is Commissioner Alkema. I make a motion to approve the April 13th minutes.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank you.
finally.
Meeting minutes are approved with no changes. Never happens. And then we had a special little tag-on meeting on April 20th. How'd that go? Yeah, I didn't have any changes for that either.
Mm-mm.
Okay, will you guys do it again?
Sure. Commissioner Alkema, I move that we approve the minutes from the April 20th meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. April 20th meeting minutes are approved. That brings us to the best time, which is 7:26. And we can make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Just remember, we had a designation a few hours ago. It wasn't all terrible.
All depressing. Honestly,
It's
like,
mostly-
the rodeo grounds, that's big stuff.
That's big
Big
stuff.
Yeah.
So the meeting is adjourned 7:26.